so we're back. I had planned, we might do it a little bit later. I'd planned on trying to wrap up the Dominaria book, but I forgot it in the car and didn't feel like going back out for it. But it is a bit fortuitous because it might have taken us a bit long, and this place closes at 4. So this is something much more easily manageable. Not sure, obviously, how far. I'm not sure what order this is probably should. It's hard to tell. Because on the two websites, it's sort of introduced in opposite ends. So this is either the first adventure or the most recently published one. And there aren't any helpful dates that I could sort this out. So, greetings from Monfar and welcome to a new standalone mission for Lancer. The self-contained mission follows a group of mech pilots as they adventure on Kibo, a planet nestled in the Arusha cluster, an obscure sector of space administered by SSC and referred to as the Farm. Their mission is to work as Union's auxiliaries answering the call of SSC and assisting to locate the missing research and HP Chaga from the outset. The player characters learn of suspected persons' rights violations on the part of SSC, the proof of which can only be certified by the missing NHP. As they progress, the SSC's forsaken hells will surface and seek to drown the PCs and the mission in waves of next-scale weaponry, ideology, and revenge. Meanwhile, there are rumors that a voice has called Chaga to the misty peaks of Kimolen's range. It calls itself the Boundless and carries no love for those that deal in shackles, sharks, and prophets below the misty mountain peaks. Through sheer skill and wit, PCs will need to fight off their attackers, all the while learning more of just how deep SSC's violations go. The question is, once they learn the answer, what are they going to do about it? The farm is comprised of a collection of false Gaia worlds specifically identified by SSC as being selectively inhospitable to humanity for a range of reasons. Thin atmospheres, irradiated daytimes, poisonous fauna, you name it. SSC has sought out worlds like Kibo in hopes of nurturing its lucrative genetic maturation and cultivation programs. These programs market designer babies, cougars, colonial corporations, and other well-endowed buyers seeking to turn profits in otherwise hazardous environments. Responsible for managing these programs are non-human persons, the children of Law, and the backbone of Union. NHPs of a non-corporeal state guide and in some ways serve humanity as it expands across the great expanse of the Orionon. Without the ubiquity of NHPs, humanity's expansion across the cosmic theater would end in miserable failure. NHPs are essential in many ways, yet while Union recognizes the personhood, the question must be asked, does it truly put that belief into practice? This is the question the players will explore on Kibo. Their arrival on Kibo in the year 5016 marks the climb of Chaga's story as it unfolds to a climax in the peaks of the Kimolen's range. The PCs themselves have already been recognized as pilots with relentless potential, but they have few experiences under the belt to prove this fact. Fortunately, SOC is in the business of pushing humanity to its limits. And when the need arises on Cuba, the Corpo State requests willing mech pilots to pick up for an on-call ground security team for the Mirror Smoke Mercenary Company left off. Downfall marks the prelude of the siren song, and by the song's end, the PCs will have accomplished their mission. Will your brave lancers go there, lead the way? Will they let its fires burn out without intervention? Whatever they do, know that the responsibility for their action rests with them and them alone. This book contains a self-contained beginner lancer mission designed ideally for license level 2 but suitable for characters from LL1 to 3. Summaries and descriptions of non-player characters, settings, and places to help game masters and players understand the lands of the pond. New mechanics and an appendix that contains both player and GM-facing content. This includes a new frame, a new talent, 2 new NPC classes, and new exotic gear. Guidance on how to run a camp narrative challenges. A play-by-play and easy-to-follow framework based around the discovery of clues. Siren Song, A Mountain's Remorse is ideally run by a GM with 3 to 5 players. The GM will need a copy of the Lancer core rulebook. Players, however, can get everything they need by downloading the free player-facing content from the same location. This book comes with a code that can be used with Lancer's CompCom companion app to access the mechanical content included. Be sure to remember any NPCs, keywords, or concepts not found in this book can be found in the core rulebook. To minimize the need to have it on hand though, the story contains is largely contained in nature. This book will be your near one-stop shop in terms of narrative setting material. I'm going to skip this page. We've, with Mothership, already kind of come across a host of advice for basic game running advice. That seems more or less redundant here. Come on. With the ultimate goal of changing hearts and minds in tense, uncertain, or dangerous situations. Towards the end of the Siren Song, the PCs will engage in a structured narrative challenge to achieve their goal of finding and retrieving Chaga. Along the way, they'll accumulate information by way of after-combat roles and in-combat interactions. Narrative challenges are a way to achieve a group's aims in place of combat. I'm kind of unsure why they're, and they say this is new, but I'm pretty sure they had this in the core rulebook. So I'm not sure why they're feeling the need to represent this here. Narrative challenges are a way to achieve a group's aims in place of combat, whereas combat either in the cockpit of a mech or on foot is fairly straightforward and rigid. Narrative challenges are free-flowing. Yeah, this is very familiar to what was already in the core rulebook. Clues, motivation, and goals. These components are determined or discovered over the course of a mission. Narrative challenges always place the PCs against NPCs with ulterior motivations, but can sometimes include NPCs in alignment with the PC's goals. Why narrative challenges? The reason for using narrative challenges is straightforward. Not everything can be solved with next-scale gunpowder, and sometimes a well-made critical remark can save countless lives with less effort than full-scale mounted combat. One way narrative challenges are similar to mech combat, though, is that they require some preparation. Hearts and minds can be temperamental, and a poorly placed word may cause the speaker to lose significant credibility. That is why this book includes clues. In a siren song, PCs accumulate clues by investigating various locations and searching for information about the mercenary team that preceded them. Each clue is a minor to substantial piece of information that can turn the tide of a narrative challenge in the PC's favor. Narrative challenges should only be used when players are interacting with NPCs, not with each other. Determining whether a narrative challenge is needed starts with understanding the disposition and motivation of the NPCs involved. Remember, narrative challenges involve building arguments and changing minds in tense, uncertain, or dangerous situations. As such, they're only really useful when an NPC or group of NPCs is inherently opposed to the PCs and their goals. Minor negotiations can usually occur without a narrative challenge. However, if an NPC is fearful of joining because of a standing contract on their life, a narrative challenge might be an opportunity to convince them to come along. One of the most important criteria for determining the need for a narrative challenge is whether the players are interested in role-playing to the extent that is required. Narrative challenge require PCs who take initiative, mingling, conning, investigating, and persuading NPCs in order to achieve their goals. This often requires NPCs and the GM to engage in dialogues of varying lengths to determine how to navigate the NPC's motivations. As a general rule, it would take more than 2 or 3 skill checks to convince an NPC or group that a narrative challenge may be good fit. A narrative challenge at the end of Siren Song can involve upwards of 7 checks. This is why it uses clocks to manage the complexity of the challenge. We've covered kind of how clocks work extensively in other games, so we'll skip that. Clues and motivations give narrative challenge their malleable nature. They are tidbits of information. Return of the hallmark typos of this publisher's products. Clues come in many forms, but they are generally things that will help PCs achieve their goals in a challenge. They function as an expendable resource to be used in the challenge, rather than providing immediate benefits when obtained. Combat footage and recordings of conversations could both be clues. Clues like these can be leveraged for mechanical benefits during skill checks in a narrative challenge. They also provide simple inspiration for role-playing during the challenge. The most straightforward way to track clues is using clocks. Both PCs and NPCs have motivations. However, only the motivations of NPCs are relevant to completing narrative challenges. The motivations of PCs are solely intended to draw them into the experience. Be sure to allow time, to allow conversation. This is because consensus regarding motivations will likely determine the nature of their goal. Conversely, NPC motivations are complicating factors of sometimes known and sometimes unknown to the PCs. Incorrectly guessing the motivation of an NPC can cause setbacks. Before the challenge, gather clues. Beginning the challenge, determine the goal, and establish motivations. So there was already sort of a downtime. It wasn't as robust as I would have liked, but I believe in the setting we looked over, they also kind of added a few more options. So it seems like they're kind of wanting to expand that, which they said. Throughout the mission, PCs will acquire rewards for completing downtime, including narrative challenges and completing mech combats. Rewards take the form of 5 exotic gear options for their pilots and mechs. Exotic gear represents unique licenses or plot-specific items players should acquire at various stages in their mission. Psionic piston, pilot gear, exotic gear. Carry me, please carry me, your soul and mine, oh so delightfully fine. Twice I pulled your bow, so each shall die. Carry me, please carry me, my soul and mine. Listen, walk the path with me and see our footsteps blend. Walk the creases in your grandmother's hand, so folded in you, pressed and firm, clinch. Oh, she plowed these lines, diligent and slow, swing. Women with graceful purpose, look at what we've done here. Scarlet soul, sage, and crimson hues, blues. A song and suggestion from one mind to another. The sonic piston is a vibrant octagonal jewel worn just above the globula and embedded in the wearer's frontal lobe. A tool for oversight and understanding created by the consortium of long-buried minds with the silent intent. Few pistons exist today, few still continue to bridge minds. Those that do so without witness. Instruments with no mother, no father any longer. They seek partnership with the willing and ambitious. Do them a favor and carve on yourself a pocket for their presence. Once per mission, when you make an eye contact with a character in arm's reach, you may telepathically converse and share your consciousness with them in complete clarity, conveying your rational, emotional subjectivity. This device effectively becomes a bridge between minds without the assistance of conventional comms-based neurolaces. This effect persists as long as any characters remain close to each other. When you use this device, roll a d20. If you roll 5 or lower, gain a personality quirk for the remainder of the mission, determined by you and your GM, as memories of the tool's previous user flood your mind. I'm going to skip reading those. That first one really seemed, really like the only, and these are all, seems like pretty decent upgrades, but especially like the raising one, but that first one really seemed to fit very well specifically for this campaign with, because I imagine the skill challenge isn't going your way, you can kind of lay all cards on the table, as it were, in an effort to last-ditch persuade them. Also, a new talent, the orator. Only the fool sees war as a means to an end. We know the integrity of any given human is far easier to penetrate than a chassis exterior hull plated. So let fools be fools and speak your truth. Tell them the gods they worship die a quiet death. Tell them the manna they covet invites despondency, and the voices they follow lead nowhere. They will hear you, this is undeniable, and in doing so, will begin to question the motives of the hands they used to hold you and the feet they used to walk. Your power is not that of the orator, and its years to come, your histories will paint war a bygone remembrance. So, for one rank, convincing rhetoric, where an allied character takes a scan, quick tech against a hostile character. You gain a isolated comms channel with your target and they become impaired. This lasts until they succeed on the systems check. They cannot clear impaired any other way. Using this reaction again on a new character ends the impaired condition early. At rank 2, you start combat with one order die, representing your power of speech. At the end of your turn, if you have not attacked or forced any saves, you gain one order die up to a maximum of 3 order dice. They last until expended on or the currency ends. Once around as a free action, you can expend an order dice for one of the following effects, as long as you can communicate with your target. Encourage an ally to make a systems check using the order die at accuracy, ending that condition on a successful check. Investigate is 2 dice. Choose a hostile character in line of sight. The next time your character makes an attack against them, you roll with advantage. Cast Doubt. Choose a hostile character in line of sight. They cannot benefit or be targeted by their allies' systems or traits until the end of their next turn. And at Mastery, you get marks to the 10,000. You start combat with an additional order dice. Additionally, gain an additional option for Voice of Reason. Demoralize 3 dice. Choose a hostile character in line of sight. They cannot move, attack, force saves, or take tech actions until the end of their next turn. They gain immunity to this effect until the end of this scene. We might go ahead. Well, what time is it? Yeah, might go ahead and end here. We will be gonna change locations and we'll start on Dominaria.